Have you ever wondered how these long format YouTube videos work? You know, the ones that you see that are like 40 minutes long and just go on and on and on. Well, while I've been pursuing figuring out how a pilot works and how to make a web series, I've been uncovering a ton of information on just how these videos actually work. And it's been pretty interesting and pretty necessary just for the nature of what I'm doing. So I wanted to take a moment to kind of backtrack a little bit and share what I've learned over the past few weeks. So that way we're kind of in lockstep of like where I'm at with learning. So, let's just kind of dive right into it. So to start, I'm currently using a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera to shoot this. And I'm in my basement studio. So got a location already set up. And I've been using Adobe Premiere for all of my editing. Now, I've done some YouTube research, looking up online, and so far what I've gathered or what I've learned is just light editing. I've been editing out as many like ums and ahs from the past two videos as I could, and any like unnecessary tangents. The first two I kept them in there just because that's where I was. And I've been trying to figure out music. So I've been checking out royalty-free websites to get some of the sounds, learning that when things appear on screen, they should have a sound. Not all of them, but certain things should have a sound, a movement that happens. So I've been trying to add in bells or chimes to make them a little more lively when anything appears on the screen. I've been also figuring out the audio and the music. So with like the music, I'm still using the royalty-free stuff, but my buddy James at Father Blaze on Instagram and YouTube, who is a phenomenal producer, has graciously given me some of his music and offered to help me along the way. My friend Laz also is going to help me with some cool DJ mixes at some point that I'd like to incorporate in here, and a few other friends who are letting me use their tunes. But I'm still figuring out how to properly balance the volume. From my understanding, it's like audio should be between like -12 decibels or something like that, and music should be like -10 decibels. So I'm still figuring that out, and I'm also still figuring out where audio should be placed. So I'm still learning that, but I do know that those are pretty crucial. And outside of that, with the whole editing out ums and ahs, I've been adding in like minor transitions so that way it's not so abrupt and jarring. And I've also watched some stuff on like color grading, but it's so outside of what I understand right now that I did find a YouTube video where the guy was selling pre-made color grade packs. So I bought one of those, which is what have been on the last two videos and this one currently. And that had a PDF incorporated that showed you step by step how to go about it. So I think that kind of covers what I'm doing or have done so far with video editing. There's going to be so much more to learn, but that's just where I'm at right now. And then also what I haven't done for the last two videos is writing a script. Now, writing a script helps to maintain a level of clarity and to be clear and concise in what you're saying. And as you could tell with the previous two ones, they were all over the place and a lot of rambling, but I wanted to keep that like that. But for this one, I did use script writing in the sense of jot down some rough bullet points of what I want to say and how I want to say it, to kind of keep me in track and to lessen those ums and ahs as much as possible and have it be a lot more clear. What I did learn with script writing is that you really want to have your intro have a good hook or a good question. And that's why I started this like that. A lot of what I learned, I don't know is going to necessarily be applicable to this, because a lot of that is kind of like, what's up, YouTube? Make sure you blah, blah, blah. And that's not what I'm doing here, nor is that what I want to do. So, some of the stuff with like your hook, your body having your second most important point be first to get people in, but then your most important point being second in the body of your script, so that way people really stay hooked, and then your third point being whatever, and then like your outro restating any pain points that you've solved or reinforcing key points that you speak about. So I'm going to play around with that. I don't know how much of that will really be applicable for me. I'll see. I'll give it a try, but this is just more so documenting a process leading up to something entirely different. So I'll keep messing around with that. So I've been doing research. I've been doing a ton of research and looking up as much as I can. But I remembered that I also work for a multimedia company. So I decided to contact a friend of mine who is a TV producer at that company, and went and talked to him and sat down and had a little interview and kind of got his thoughts on television, what a pilot is, some do's and don'ts, and just some other information. One quick note is that I did not write down any of my questions beforehand, so I am just asking questions straight from the hip. So if it's a little janky, just know that's why. And if you're like, man, why didn't you ask about this, that, and the third? That's why. Hopefully with the other interviews that I have set up, they will be a lot more pointed and hopefully have some better questions. Please introduce yourself.
I am, where am I talking to, them or you?
Well, me, I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, hi, I'm Everett Robinson, and I'm a TV producer here at WHYY, and I'm happy to be here having this conversation with you to talk about
this show idea that I'm working on. So, the basic idea is that I always have a ton of ideas, and I'm only ever able to do a couple of them. Mm-hmm. But when I do complete any of them, I feel really enriched and like very fulfilled. So I got to thinking, what if I made a show about bringing various ideas to life and then also helping other people to bring their ideas to life?
Oh, nice.
Except I don't know anything about how television works or how to make a show or how any of it works. So I am learning as I go. I brought my notebook here, which
handy dandy notebook,
filled to the brim with notes that I've been taking on how to do it. But I figured since I've worked for a media company, that I should hit up Everett and ask some questions about what the hell am I doing and how do I do this? So you're a TV producer. Can you explain a little bit about what that entails?
So that entails, that title itself, TV producer, you're producing a television program for an audience's reaction. That's what I say. Is that that's everything that goes into it. So that's any of your typography, how that's branded, how you title things, how you say things, what it looks like, colors, different things. That's what I say TV producing is. A lot of people think it's like, oh, I have this idea and we're gonna shoot it. It's like not necessarily when you're in a company. It's a little different. When you're by yourself, yeah, go ahead, you can do whatever you need to do. But when you're with a company, you have to think consciously about other people and how what you're trying to do will work with what their skill set. So a lot of times you have to understand other people's skill sets, and I always say a lot of producers don't have the technical side down because they're they're an ideal person. Indeed. But the ones that have both the idea side down and the creative and the technical side down are probably your, no offense, but you're better producers just because we can do more.
Got it.
On our own, and I don't have to rely on. So what I do here, I do motion graphics, I do regular graphics, I shoot stuff, I light stuff, I set design, I work with the talent on casting them, I work with them on how to prepare when they come to set. So there's always three sections, with production. It's pre, post, and then in the middle there's production. I always say, because I'm pre, post, and production portion, you have to think about post always. When you're a producer that does the editing as well, and the graphics and the branding, and it's called a thing, I don't know if people in the world might know this, but it's called integrated marketing.
Integrated marketing.
That's how I say, if you want to be a producer that does everything from A to Z, learn integrated marketing, because it shows you how to market different products to the mass media, and then how to market different products to the audience.
So I'm going to make a note of that. So
yes. Integrated marketing. Okay. Actually, the place that I went to get some of these, just to see how it fully works at the end of my journey, was Nickelodeon. So I had to go up to Viacom. I've had a good rapport with Viacom. So I've done stuff over the years with Viacom. And so a lot of times if you have connections to people, you can just like call them up if you're doing something and just say, hey, can I get a tour? That's the easiest way I say. If anybody wants to go to any TV studio, that's the best way to go in, is ask for a tour.
Ask for a tour, that's the best way to get in. So I was going to actually ask you, so currently where I am at in the process of this whole thing is I've essentially written down, and tell me if these are good things to be looking into.
Okay.
So I'm looking into how web shows work, like how web series work, videography, audio, video lighting, video editing, graphic sketches. I don't really know what I meant by that. Music, so how that affects a show, like the mood, and like what's royalty free, what's not, you know, that sort of thing. What else? Yeah, graphic design. So in addition to those things, I'm looking into public speaking and project management, because I'm going to have to be speaking to people all the time, and I'm not the world's best speaker by any means. And project management, so that way I can take these people's ideas or my own ideas and actually be able to break them down into step-by-step process.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I've been looking into like how script writing works. So I've started this whole thing without doing any scripts, which I'm going to have to then start doing script writing.
Yeah.
And right now I am looking at pilot, like a pilot episode.
Okay.
So I figured the best way to go about figuring out what structure I should do for a TV show is to start with how would you structure a pilot and then look into those things. Does that sound like the right way?
It does sound like the right way, but then after you figure out all of that, I would say, for me, the best lessons to learn for camera work are filmmakers. So cinematographers, because video and cinematography are two separate things. A lot of people don't know that video and cinematography is working with the camera and its functions and formats inside and the settings inside the camera to make a look, where video is just taking a digital something and putting it on one of those platforms.
Yeah, right now all I got is this thing right
here. Yeah, so cinematographers, sometimes they go in, like a guy by the name of Theron that works here.
Theron?
He's a cinematographer.
Okay.
So he knows different cameras, different lenses, how the functions of the camera work. If you use this setting, it'll do this effect. If you do, so a lot of times when like a lot of stuff that I do for On Stage at Curtis, we talk about the imaging, and that's what that is. The imaging of how do I want this to look in retrospect to, because there's also frame rate. So I'm really big on cinematic stuff, and that's 24 frames per second.
So cinematic stuff is 24 frames per second.
Then you have 25 frames per second, which is usually what you see for, I don't want to say like 25 is broadcast, like TV, but then, because 29 is what we do here. And it's 29 frames per second, or drop frames per second.
And we do 29 frames
Yes,
per
for
second?
television.
So is that, okay, I've always wondered, you know soap operas? Why do they look like that?
30.
Whoa. Okay.
30 frames. So what happens is the frame rate is the amount of pixels, I might be saying this wrong, so look it up. The amount of pixels that go into the amount of frames you're shooting. So 24, that's how that math works.
Okay.
It'll be pixels, but it's a rate of 24, and then it stops. Then there's a rate of 30, and then it stops. Then there's 60, and that's when you get to the 4K and all that stuff.
Got it.
That's what that stuff is that it's just telling how many pixels you're picking up for clarity.
Got it. So like soap operas have that strange depth of field because of that?
Yes.
I've always wondered that, because like when you're looking at newer TVs that have that strange resolution style, you know, where it kind of feels like it's too realistic, it makes everything look like a soap opera. I was always
admitting, so what happens is the frame rate on the recording is probably different than the frame rate in which your TV's picking it up as. So a lot of TVs, you can change that inside the settings.
Yeah.
But a lot of these smart TVs, you can't. So a lot of the smart TVs, it's just like the digital pixelation that they choose. So if you buy a 4K TV, everything's gonna start there. Anything there and above, it'll be able to pick up. Anything below, it'll make it look that weird. Oh. That's why it does that. It makes it look very crisp and clean because it can't pick it up. So it's just like 4K, whatever. And that's how you get those filters on Instagram. And it looks, when you get the 4K, the 8K, the 8K video, all that stuff. That's all those are the filters that we see and that you're seeing on your television.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what questions am I missing for what I'm like embarking on, essentially.
I don't think you're actually missing anything. I think it's trial and error now.
Yeah.
So it's like what works for you, because like you can ask the guys here at WHY, I'm very big on trying to make everything fit into 24 because I like the cinematic look. But because we admit 29, I've had to settle for 30 to get what I want, because it'll take that one off. If we shoot it in a way where cinematography wise, if we shoot with the lighting and change it and manipulate depth of field changes things, it gets me what I want. We just have to have a bigger depth of field. Do you need a big depth of field for what you're doing or not? Because that'll determine your set.
Depth of field. Okay.
Yeah, that determines your set mainly, because if you need a big depth of field, you're going to need a lot of set.
So for what I'm doing, what would you call, like, what would this be categorized as in terms of like what I'm trying to do? Remember that show Made?
Yeah.
On MTV? Like that kind of thing. Maybe a little more cheeky and a little more modern as I kind of figure out what the voice is of it. But like, how would you describe it? Because I'd like to kind of film it sort of like in that kind of Anthony Bourdain-ish style, but it's not lifestyle and travel. It's more trying to explain the
I would say
behind-the-scenes process of things.
when you're explaining stuff, I would say the best way is what you showed me before was your podcast setup. Always reference that for your explanations, and then you can use B-roll for all the other types of shots that you want to use. And then that way you have I always say you need a reference shot. So a shot that people are used to, like,
shot.
when you turn on MTV back in the day, a reference shot for TRL would be them outside looking up at the windows. So you know it's TRL. So yours, a reference shot, what you showed me was a really great reference shot.
Like that. That's what I was thinking.
Because we know where we're at.
In the basement and then,
Yeah.
or not the basement, the studio, and then goes from there.
Because you establish where you're at. And that way they know every time. And then when you change that, your reference shot now changes, so you can establish where you're at. And so like with, I give you an example, people can probably pull this up too. On Stage at Curtis, our promos, I wanted to show the depth that we were having, so they were out in the front of the whole set. They weren't even on the set. And I wanted to showcase, we're using this whole thing. All of this. And so it established where we were at.
Okay.
Versus where they used to be in the building at the school. And it's like, if I just started that way, it would have been like, where are they at? But when I do the promos and you're kind of like, oh, I see the camera. Oh, they're in the studio. Okay, I know where they're at. Now you know, so when I have them on set sitting in just a stool, that's the only set piece I have, and lighting, I do the lighting for the dramatic look. And so I could have built it up and put like a bunch of stuff in the shot, but I realized, no, we don't need any of that. We need them, the lighting, and this depth of field for the audience to understand where we're going. And fortunately, someone did understand and sent us a message that they understand too much. They're like, you should change it back to the old way.
They liked it like the OG style?
Yeah, they were like, we preferred it the other way before. And I'm thinking, okay, but that leaves us for one episode. You have to change it visually for people to stay along. It's a series.
Yeah, but it always, like you said, it's like home base. Like this is this, and this is always.
You're always going to see it this way.
So, what advice would you have, like trying to get this even to be a thing?
So you got to figure out what you want. Is it a series?
Yes.
Is it because I mean, it could start out as like a series and then morph into maybe more or less of full like talk show, or it just depends on the pacing and what everything's doing. Because I think once you put it together as a full pilot, you'll see like where to go with everything.
It's be kind of tough because I don't have like a team, so it's just me. So that means I have to get the B-roll cuts.
Yeah.
The cuts like of like what I'm doing, and then it's going to be.
But once you figure out all of that, you can say like, oh, I have a lot of B-roll that looks better than just my home base shots. I'm going to layer it up.
Yeah.
And now it's turned into a whole different concept. One thing I would always say is you're writing everything down. Once you have what you're going to do, turn them into documents on Word. Because the best thing you can do is have a folder saved, and then as soon as you're able to get a team, now your lighting people know what they need to do. Now your audio people know it's the stuff that you want to give to a team member. Always write it up and put it in a document, because that way when they do come on board, you are ready.
You think
you don't have to worry about explaining anything to them.
You're just like, here's
what I've been doing.
It's a great idea.
You come up with, now add your expertise to what I have, because obviously you're the expert at it, and now we have a final document of how we're going to run the audio.
Yeah.
How we're going to run the lighting. How we're going to run, because I feel like with here, TV-wise, that is, for me, has been the easiest transition to different companies.
Well, I know.
I just type everything up first and then send it out. So I want them to be on the same page literally from the start to the end, because I'm very elaborate. And so the fact that I'm that elaborate, I type everything up as if I was that person, because I need it for me. So I'm not typing it for a team. And then as I started getting different teams, I realized I now have this folder full of audio concepts for this, then set design ideas over here with pictures in there. And I started realizing, oh, if I just keep doing this, I'll be able to pass it off. And then when I got here, I was able to pass it off.
Okay.
Finally, after all these years, it was like, oh, this stupid WWE idea that I had, you guys actually like it? But I wrote it up already. And I was just like, oh, if I ever want to do it, I'll give it to somebody.
That is a fantastic point. It makes it seem like it's well, also it's just easier to keep track, and my handwriting is atrocious.
And so mine. But then also, you can send it off to people, too, to get critiques.
Yeah.
And they can fix it, as long as you make it a Word document, not a PDF. I always tell people, don't do PDF, do Word first, just because PDF feels too final in my mind.
Yeah.
And Word, everyone has Word, but Word, it has like, I don't know, something about Word documents where they have those templates. So you can go and create different documents using that.
That's a good point.
And it's very, like, I've created call sheets from a template that was for catering.
What are the do's and don'ts of a pilot?
Do use everybody as a focus group. So always take everybody's opinion in. You don't have to use it, but ask as many people to look at stuff and just listen.
Okay.
That's the best thing I can say, is just focus groups. Create little focus, like, listen to this, tell me what this audio sounds like, and just get their honest opinion, because they don't know what they're trying to give an opinion to. They won't give you a bullshit opinion, excuse my language. But if you tell them, I'm shooting this show, and it's supposed to sound and look like this, they'll automatically go, oh, well, you should change this to that, because they now think they're a part of the show.
Oh, true.
So I just go, and that's what I do around here sometimes. I just ask, hey, come here, look at this. What do you think? And just let them think. And then that way, when they tell me whatever it is, I'm like, okay, change that. Okay, don't change that. Oh, they picked that up. And that way you can, by yourself, because I'm by myself right here, obviously.
Yeah.
Now you get the opinions of a team. And they didn't know they were your team.
Great point. I do that all the time too with my other projects. What do you think of this? So what's a don't?
Don't have an ego.
Don't have an ego.
Everyone, like I've learned, I think it's taken me till here. Because everyone thinks that when you do stuff and you share it with other people, they're going to take it from you, or they're going to take your idea, and that's ego.
That is actually something, because I have had my own ideas and stuff stolen before.
But if you did it, they can't do it like you. So they actually are just revamping something you already had. They didn't steal what you had, because what you have is in your brain.
Yeah.
They can't steal that.
Well, the main issue, at least for me, was a couple times having things that I've done taken by a person with a larger platform than myself. So like, I may reach 1,000 or 2,000 people on Instagram, let's say, and do something, but then somebody who's got 15, 20K, do the exact, and that happens to content creators all the time.
Yeah, it does.
They'll be doing something, and then, someone with a much bigger platform will come through and just do the exact same thing, like verbatim, and get all the reward.
But sometimes I say, if it's something that's special to you,
Yeah.
certain things people can and cannot do. There are certain things that I feel like being here, and especially doing on stage at Curtis, there are certain things that they could never do, because it's something that I've always done with my productions, like the lighting.
Yeah.
That's my lighting. If you look at any of my stuff on my website, all my lighting, you can tell when I'm doing the lighting, because of the fact that it has a certain look.
Yeah.
No one else can do it because of the geometry of it. Learn geometry too.
Learn geometry.
Yes, learn geometry. That has been the best factor for me in editing, is geometry. The angles, the percentages, stuff like that. Because I feel like TV's going away though, but using the elements, I think the thing that a lot of people are not seeing content creation wise is that the elements of TV are still there. So still do your pre-production, still do all of those elements that you would normally do.
So what's pre-production?
So pre-production is your logistics. So that's you want to basically have it down to a science, like we're going to be 45 degrees from this light. We're going to be, you want to really, pre-production, you want to be as mechanical as you can on paper, because the technicians have to bring it to life on the production part. And then the post part, they really have to tie it together. Like, that's the bow. You have to really tie the...
So pre-pro is the logistics and the mechanical.
The mechanics and like where everything is going to sit
Your
on
shots,
paper.
like it's pre-pro,
Shot
like your
list,
shot list and all
the
that.
lighting grid, what you're going to do with the lighting diagram. If you're doing music, your stage plot for the instruments. If you're doing like a full set, where all your set pieces go, the lighting, and then also color temperature. You want to know if you want to be warm or cool. Knowing your Kelvin, which is the, so when they feel like 32K or 42K, that K is Kelvin. And Kelvin is the, that determines the temperature of the light, which really, it was actually what I learned was the filament that's inside of lighting, that's Kelvin. So when you like a light bulb, the little filament right there in the light bulbs, that's Kelvin. We really don't use that anymore. That's why they'll say LED lights, but they'll still say like 3200K because it's simulating.
Should I get one of those like little snap things?
Slate?
A slate. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, honestly, slate to this, if you're not shooting a film that's gonna have 50,000 frames and it needs to be synced up so much that you have to have the slate, that's what the slates are really for. It's to make sure, like a digital slate. That's why there are numbers on it. It's syncing the audio to whatever time clock you're on, so it could be off, but it'll sync it. And as soon as you go like this, everything snaps together.
Whoa, okay.
But that's films in Hollywood, but that's what a slate actually is supposed to do. The slates we use now is just like when you clap, that's for the editor to know that it's take it serious.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people use it, but it's like, you know you're the editor too.
Okay.
Use it though. I say use it. I use it all the time, but I'm the editor too, so I don't even need to look at it.
So that's pre-pro.
That's
And then we've got pro,
which is the
just
actual shooting.
Okay.
And I say it's life manipulation. So you got to make sure you're manipulating to the point where it feels like real life, whatever you're doing. Because that's where people go wrong, is that the production part, sometimes lighting's off and they just let it go. No, fix it. That's where you fix that stuff. Because you might write it a certain way in pre-production. Like I do this all the time. Curtis, when I write up the lighting and all this stuff for pre-production, half the time we get in there and most of what I wrote down does not make it. Because it's like we got to manipulate for the room. So I could see it one way, like we're gonna do that next month. I'm gonna see it one way.
Manipulate for the room.
But you gotta manipulate for the room. Cause like right now, I don't know if you noticed it, you'll see it in the camera, we got brighter.
Yeah, I saw over here.
Yeah, we got brighter, and you know why?
Going funky. Oh, okay.
So it's around 4 o'clock, isn't it?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Should be like 4:45 or something like that?
4:43.
Mm-hmm. I can tell the time by the sun.
That.
So it hits there around 4, and that's your golden hour. So that's why we got brighter. But now we're getting darker because it also bounced off the wall. So you can also do that too. You can manipulate light, and it bounced off the white wall, and that's why we got brighter.
Oh.
Yeah. So now we're dimmer because it's not bouncing anymore. But as soon as that cloud goes away, it's going to bounce again, which I feel it warming right this second. But
Wow.
so that's color temperature.
Okay.
That's what that is.
Very cool.
Literally the sun. And it'll tell you, like you can tell, like 12 o'clock is going to be, so you ever heard of the golden hour?
Yeah.
That's around 3:30 to 4:35. That's like,
So 3:30 to 5ish.
yeah, it's like that 1 hour where the sun is like the perfect color for everybody's skin. But then you have, I say daytime lighting is my favorite, 12 to 4. I like that lighting because you can manipulate it by dimming it. Golden, you saw what it just did to us.
You also have more time to work.
Exactly.
12 to 4.
Yep. So golden hours, that's why photographers love that hour for beach shots or for any nature shots because they get the perfect lighting, but they have the small window. So they can pre-production it enough to get 4 o'clock, we have this, that, this, that, and this, and that. By 4:30, we should be here. By 4, so they know when the sun's about to hit, and that's what sundials are. So sundial would tell you when the sun hit what time it was of the day. Mm-hmm. It's golden hour. That's where they got that from.
Wow. I learned something. I learned so much. Is there anything else I should?
No, because I could keep going, and then there's going to be too much. And I mean.
So I really want to say thank you again, Everett, for sitting down with me and talking me through how, pilots and television works. I super appreciate that. Next steps, I'm thinking for next week is I'm realizing there's just so much I have to figure out with like posting things on YouTube and Instagram and like trying to get anybody to even be able to watch it. And thank you to anybody and everyone who has watched it so far. I appreciate it. And all 20 of you who have subscribed so far, thank you. But I think for the next steps, while I'm still gonna figure out the pilot stuff, I think I'm going to kind of pivot for a moment and focus on maybe some branding, like graphic. I realize I don't have a graphic, it's just a photo of me, but coming up with a logo, some branding, setting up like a photo shoot for the page and whatnot. I also forgot to mention, I made an Instagram page. So the previous two things will be up on there, so I'm not posting to my normal art page. So you can go check that out at Rushawn's Got an Idea on Instagram and YouTube as well. But with that said, I think this upcoming week I'm gonna focus on trying to get maybe a photo shoot and getting some branding and like a logo and that sort of thing figured out. And also maybe just do some more research on how the fuck YouTube works and how to navigate that without just becoming an absolute fuckboy. So I think that's what I'm going to pivot to, and maybe set up another interview with a director on TV pilots, and then create a template and a rough draft pilot sheet and talk to somebody and have them review it and give me some feedback. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week.